Something magic happens every time you go. Make the magic happen. Make the magic happen.
Hey yo, we're back. Hello, Spastics Nation. Aren't you looking lovely this evening? With you again today, Dean Eastlake, and I'm joined solely by Charlie Hoppus.
Glad we cut the dead weight, Dean. It feels good.
That's kind of what
Also,
we're referring to him as.
When did we become Spastics Nation? How many? We've got, I think, 47 Twitter followers. I mean, rising all the time, sure, but a nation of all Spastics?
There are those that don't even, are not even aware that they're part of Spastics Nation.
73 Facebook likes. I'm looking at our stats right now. I mean, these are great numbers considering that we are a pretty niche podcast. We've got to be probably the 5th or 6th best Orioles podcast, and probably like the 20th or 25th best Arrested Development podcast. But
we got to give a name to our listeners somehow. It just fits. It feels good. It feels right.
I think that this is something that we can have our listeners talk to us about. What do they want to be called?
That's not a bad idea. We did want to get a question out there for fan feedback, like a question of the week or something that we have our fans hit us back with. Maybe that could be it. What should we call them out there? You don't think they like Spastics Nation?
They might.
They
might. I might. I don't know. I need to let it grow on me. I need to see how it feels.
Fair enough.
It's like.
Well, I think we'll end up finding they love Spastics Nation. We are fresh off of watching the walk-off home run by Chris Dickerson. How awesome was that?
Man, I love the Orioles so much. It's after those, decade plus of awful baseball, you sort of expect stuff like this to happen every couple weeks at least, and they don't disappoint. And it feels. Yeah, it's why you love sports. The way the Orioles have been playing for the last 12 months plus, or why, I don't know, that's why I fell in love with sports. I love it. And I love that it's the song. It's our intro song mashed up with the final countdown. Every night right. It's a different star. Chris Dickerson, the big dick.
That's catching on. The big dick. The big dick really whacked one out there. And it was beautiful. I feel very, very spoiled this season. I've been to 3 or 4 games, and 2 of those games I've witnessed walk-off home runs to win the game. And actually, even tonight, I tuned in on the radio in the 9th inning, so I really don't know much of what happened before that. I just checked the box scores and read through the summaries, but I listened in on the bottom of the 9th and just heard magic happen, and I'm just spoiled. It was great.
It's hard to. I'm a pretty cynical person in my life, and I would say that being an Orioles and Redskins fan has, in no small part, contributed to that. And it just feels so nice, And sometimes it still even creeps in. 9th inning, we've got runners on the corners, nobody out, down by 1. Wieters pops up. I'm like, yeah, okay. And then, JJ's up. And I know he's been on a tear, but the first thing I think is, this is prime JJ.
Double play.
JJ into a double play to end the game. This is... And then he pops up, and I was like, Dickerson. Dickerson's... I like Dickerson. He's probably not the worst person on our whole team, but, he's probably not too far from it. It just feels... every time, that this sort of thing happens... It renews it again. I don't know. I love it. I am grinning like a schoolgirl. No, I'm grinning like a fool, a foolish schoolgirl. I'm so happy.
That'll do. In addition to loving Spastics Nation, Arrested Development Season 4 came out. We have a dedicated Arrested Development Season 4 recap show. We're going to break it down, like we said, into 3 different segments, and we're going to have guests on for each segment, breaking it down with us. So we don't want to talk too much about it right now, but just really quick, what's kind of your overall feel of the new season, Charlie?
Well, I'll talk about this at length in our Arrested Development only pod that will come out. Don't you even fret. We are, as fans of Arrested Development, we know that you're patient. You waited for so long for this season, so you can wait. You can wait a couple weeks for our not very well constructed thoughts. Just like I'm having a not very well constructed sentence right now. So I mean,
That's what we do.
don't even worry about it. I think the two main things. I think the critics are a little bit harsh. I think the one thing that the critics sort of have right so far is it's not as densely packed with jokes as the first three seasons, which
Right.
isn't the end of the world. But it's I just love how witty those first three seasons are. You can't even catch your breath. If you laugh out loud, you're missing another joke. You like almost
true.
are scared to laugh out loud because they're just coming too quick. What about you,
Yeah.
Dean? What do you think?
Well, I wish I could go back and kind of record my thoughts when I was first watching the first three seasons because I was talking to my wife about this. When we're watching the new season, it's like we were so focused on following plot that we like glossed over a bunch of the jokes. So it's not. I'm not sure if that's deviated from how it was previously because now I've memorized the plot. We know exactly what's coming, and I've actually watched the first five episodes. I don't know, two or three times already. Again, of the new season, and I'm just like catching so much like that I glossed over before, and especially the way that they're doing it now. Like every episode ties into like three or four other episodes, and you don't really understand the first time you watch it. Like the whole anus tart thing. The first time, I wasn't making any connections there, and but then it just keeps hitting me.
I
So
I think I mean that is where it's similar and may even surpass, which is amazing. The original three seasons, just the rewatchability, and that's definitely what they have in mind. You can tell because the
right.
first well, I don't want to talk about this too much.
Okay, yeah,
Let's
that's good. That's good. Now a little teaser for y'all. Yeah,
yeah.
but I'm feeling good about it. Yeah, so we had a great game tonight. We just got off a pretty awesome series with the Nats too. As much as we say that it's not a rivalry, all the games drew huge crowds. They were really fun games. A lot of runs being scored until that last one, which was just odd how fast Freddie ended up blanking them. It doesn't make any sense, but it was a fun series.
It really was. I absolutely think I wasn't convinced. We talked about it on our last podcast, which was forever ago at this point.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, lots of delays. It's okay. They're loyal. Those
Spastics Nation, you
those
mean?
legions of spasticers. Those are both bad ideas. You've got something better than that, Spastics Nation, or whatever you're called. I wasn't convinced that this was a rivalry. And you hear, well, both teams have to be good at once. Well, definitely, that's definitely true. I don't know. Dean and I and Chris have the unique perspective of being on both sides of the Baltimore-Washington rivalry.
Right.
And it just I don't know. It's never felt anything but sort of like annoying social media yapping and friendly. And I think that this week was a continuation of that, but just a little. There was a little bit more juice this time. It felt like the Ravens Skins game this year. It was cool. It was
Was
cool.
it different in any way that Harper wasn't there and we didn't run into Strasburg? Who actually, we should just lay on Nats fans. Then he left the game. Was it today after two innings with another injury?
Yeah.
I think I read.
Well, he's all
Tough.
hustle, Dean. He's hustle and heart.
That's right.
That'll happen when you're all hustle and heart. Wish we had that kind of player. Oh no, we're good.
Yeah, we're good.
We're-
Although Gosman, well, we'll get into to O's buzz.
So, in addition to the fact that we're looking for names for our listeners, other than their given Christian names, we also recently came about a logo. I'd like to say that
That's
we're
right.
probably also, in addition to being one of the worst Orioles podcasts, we also are one of the podcasts that's soonest to get sued by the Orioles for using likenesses and their name.
That's right.
That's coming down the
Well,
pike. But tell me about this logo because it sort of happened overnight, from all I know.
yeah, we have our good buddy Kenny Johns, graphic designer extraordinaire, working up a logo for us.
Nice.
We exchanged some emails, went over a few revisions. Payment came up, and we had a little bit of there were talks of ice cream, but not exactly on Kenny's terms. But yeah, you're talking about copyright infringement. We've got the Oriole bird holding a Bluth banana, so not exactly the Oriole bird. So we are legally obligated to make the distinction that the Spastics bird is holding a frozen Bluth banana and not a baseball bat.
Also, Bluth is spelled with two O's instead of a U. We're also legally obligated to make that distinction.
Mother boy. Yeah, we also want to make sure we get the word out there for the Night at the Yard that's being thrown by the Section 336 podcast on July 30th, I think it is, a Tuesday night against the Astros. They're going to fill up Section 336. They're doing a deal. You get a T-shirt and you get a
You
ticket.
get a frozen banana from us.
Get a frozen banana. Originally, they were going to do the a Spastics code, and if you had it in by the end of the month, you get $3 off. And they're extending that out until, I believe, Monday. So you got a couple more days to put in that code Spastics. When you go to buy your tickets, get $3 off per ticket. And they might also be throwing in a car magnet.
Ooh.
So that's fun. You'll see us there. You'll see the Section 336 guys.
I've got a bone to pick with Bert. Bert loves mustaches, and I'm with him. He talked about Jim Traber.
McFarlane.
Oh
yeah,
he
Traber.
obviously loves T.J. McFarlane, although sadly
He shaved it.
The late T.J. McFarlane mustache. He's never, or at least maybe I've missed it. I haven't caught up with every single one that they've ever done, but I've heard most of their podcasts, and I haven't heard him mention Jeff Rebelay, which for me is the quintessential like dad mustache. And I love Jeff Rebelay. He's one of my favorite Orioles out of nowhere. He's for some reason could hit Randy Johnson and nobody else.
It could be that, he's got saved up an awesome Bert story time dedicated to Rebelay, and he could be stashing it away. Maybe you're blowing cover right now.
Stashing the Rebelay stash away?
Stashing it. So I made a pun. Yeah, Bert, so you've been called out. Shout out us back. What's up with this? What's up with your mustache obsession? Where did it start? Where does it end? Does it reach certain limits and then stop?
I think that probably Bert should come on Oriole Spastics and answer these questions.
It's true.
Probably. Also, you know what? I'm sick of
bees?
I'm sick of all these other podcasts. I'm not. I really want to have beef with someone though. Wouldn't it be fun if we were
You've been
rivals?
trying to promote beef. You really wanted to start something between Jeff and Chris, and it was quelled within the seconds that you tried to.
That was really disappointing. That was really upsetting. I really want to have mostly it's been my dream since I was a little boy to be in a street gang in New York wearing 3/4 length shirts and snapping at other rival gangs.
Not a TV series, but maybe a musical.
Perhaps a musical. So I don't know. I like all of the problem is I like all of the podcasts, so it's hard to start a rivalry.
Yeah, but one of those podcasts really pisses me off.
Who's that?
One of them. So I still got to figure it out.
See, 336 called us weird, which is
it's true.
Well,
they called us weird, and then they apologized, but in that apology,
they called us weird again.
They still said they wouldn't bring their family near us.
I wouldn't let my family near Chris.
I'm great
Chris
with
actually
kids.
looks a lot like my family, though. So
that's right. He is your adopted son or something.
Adopted brother. He's
well, yeah. Hopefully not your son.
It's only a couple years age difference there.
Mm.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think that they pretty much hit the nail on the head with that. So we can't really fault them for not wanting their family around us. Who can we have beef with then though?
I don't know. They're all so nice.
And they're more intelligent and funnier than us.
Yeah.
Which is that's all the more reason to get in
That's right.
beef with them.
We should pick out the funniest, most intelligent. I don't know how we make that selection. We'll figure it out somehow.
I don't know.
I don't think it could be the most funny or the most intellectual. It has to be somewhere in the middle.
We are the least, so we can find somebody that's not us. So as long as we don't get in a rivalry with ourselves.
Oh wait, never mind. That was the one rule.
Did you suggest Chris?
He's not here. He's perfect. He's kind of funny and kind of intelligent.
Chris will start a better podcast if we do that. We can't let that happen.
That is true. Well, let's go ahead and take a quick break here, and we'll jump into some Orioles buzz.
Well, I'll start my own business. How hard can it be? Bzzz. Bzzz. We'll see who brings in more honey. Bzzz.
Time to get into the buzz of the week. It's been quite a while since we've last spoke here on Spastics, and a lot A lot has
I
happened.
want to say that first off, the buzz of the week is absolutely this Gin Palmer I just had. Still the most refreshing.
Oh.
Still the most refreshing drink.
And in what container are you consuming said
Oh,
drink?
actually, I posted it to both the Twitter and the Facebook, but lest you not be either a Twitter follower or somebody who likes us on Facebook, get on that jam. But I was
And yeah,
consuming it.
shame on you.
I was consuming it first off next to my Jim Palmer statue giveaway, staring at it lovingly while sipping a Gin Palmer out of a Rick Dempsey 1984, maybe 1985 weird collectible glass. He
Are
looks
the
so young, and little does he know that his best days are already behind him, and he'll talk about them all the way through. Whole people will be born, grown up, have kids, and he'll still be talking about 1983.
are collectible glasses like that still a thing? I feel like I used to see them all the time in my childhood, and I can't remember the last time I saw like
I think they've been replaced.
a Manny Machado collectible
Yeah,
glass with bobbleheads.
they've been replaced with hit clips. Hit clips are the new technology. You have like it's a little audio device, and you plug these songs. They're like little almost cassettes into the hit clips, and you hit play, and it plays about a minute and a half of that song.
I don't think that's true.
That's that's where the money's
Well,
to be made. Let's talk about the
it's always
Orioles.
money in the hit clips. All right, we'll talk about the Orioles. What happened last week?
What did happen last week? We played the Nationals,
We played the
played the
Natties,
Blue
and we
Jays.
got
Those two series were really fun.
they were fun, they were frustrating, they were the best of times, they were the worst of times. We got some good appearances out of Fast Freddy and Hamill. Hello, he's finally coming on. Is this something that is to stay, or is this just a little teaser saying, this is what I did last year, but not this year?
I don't know. Hamill seems to he's how I would prefer most most baseball players to act, which is he gets a win and he even like, limits the damage in terms of runs, but he's like pissed at himself sometimes with how he's pitched. And I love that. It's just everyone's talking about how gritty a performance he had. Oh, he really struggled through without his slider, like just trying to like walk on eggshells around the fact that he sort of worked in and out of jams, and he's just like, I was really lucky, and frankly, I was pretty bad, and I need to do better. And he's absolutely right. And
He is right.
soon
I
after
don't
that, he
know.
started
He has
getting
so many
shelled.
wins still.
Well, he's getting good run support.
Yeah,
I have not looked up that fact, but I'm pretty sure that's true.
no,
It
it's got to be
makes
true.
sense. That would be true. Let's just assume it's fact and move on. I think that as it gets hotter, a lot of these pitchers that we have are going to improve. I think that Freddie Garcia was a good example of that last night. With how hot it was, that splitter was really moving. He doesn't throw it very hard anymore, but he gets a lot of movement. And I think that the same is true of Hamill. Again, I have no idea if that's actually true, but seems like it's true.
Yeah, Fast Freddy, he's had 3 pretty respectable starts here in a row. Hamill, he's going again. Is he going again tomorrow against Verlander? So, we'll really get an idea of if this is something that's here to stay. Gonzalez, he's been solid since coming off the DL.
Yep.
So it kind of seems like the starting rotation's starting to piece it all back together, which is good news because the bullpen had been struggling for a while. So they're finally getting a little bit of rest here, which really leaves Tillman. He was probably our go-to guy before, I guess Chen and Gonzo both get into the DL, but he kind of held it steady for a while. But God, he gives up so many home runs.
I think that Tillman will be fine. I think that he's pitched well in those games, with the exception of the home runs, which sounds
a lot of them are solos.
Right.
It
sounds
like one pitch.
It sounds sort of frustrating and a little bit stupid, but it's not like it's enormous trend like it was with Tommy Hunter last season. So I have faith that he will keep the ball in the ballpark more than has been happening because over the last 4 or 5 months of baseball dating back to last season, he has. So here's hoping. I'm less worried about Hamill. I'm more worried about the durability of Chen and when he'll be back. I have absolutely no idea. I don't think anybody does.
I haven't heard any of the timelines on that.
Yeah, they're pretty vague. Wasn't entirely clear on that. Hamill, he pitched well for us last year, but far from an ace, and he needs to sort of be our number one guy. And prior to last year, when he was okay, pretty good, he wasn't great. at all anywhere else he had pitched. Yeah, it's a little bit nerve-wracking. Our starting pitching is sort of being held together with smoke and mirrors, and our bullpen has been proven to be not perfect. I don't know, and that's where Gosman really comes into play.
Yeah, we might as well, get through the rest of our rotation. He was the last one. His first start, it was exciting. It was super exciting. He seemed to pitch pretty well. It was maybe one inning that really got away from him where he got lit up a bit, but it kind of showed some promise. It was like, all right, I can see why this guy is up here and what he can bring. And then in his second start, he kind of got exposed a little bit more. He had to go to he couldn't just throw the fastball changeup, and he had to go to the slider, and he kind of got beat up on that.
Yeah, yeah. You can't. There's not a whole lot that hasn't been written or said or talked about in Baltimore media about what you just said. His fastball looks effortless, and it's 97, 98, and touching 99 sometimes with a ton of movement. It's terrifying. And then his changeup is sometimes 15 miles an hour different off of that. And it looks exactly the same motion. That must be terrifying as a hitter to face. But his slider looks, it's pretty flat. It's just sort of a fat, flat slider every single time, or often. And it gets hit regularly, and he doesn't seem to have much control over it either. He throws it for balls a lot. He just doesn't seem to paint corners with that pitch at all, in addition to it being sort of biteless.
Is developing that third pitch in the majors, is that having Gosman up, you think that's better than doing the kind of carousel that we were doing before with, I don't even know if we'd bring Arrieta back in, Jurgens,
Britain.
and doing that whole thing.
Well, what do you think first? I have a thought on this, but I want to hear what you think.
I say it's good. I say it's a good move. The top of our rotation seems like they're starting to put it together. We have the bullpen usually to kind of clean up. We have a few long distance guys. So if he goes out there, pumps in a few innings, has to leave early, it's probably all right.
I think we need to give him a few more starts at the very least before we even really spend much time worrying about this one way or the other.
Yeah, when we first brought this up, I think both you and Chris were like, yep, if he's coming up, he's here to stay for, a pretty good session. It's not going to be a spot starter, too.
No, it's got to be 4 or 5 starts. And, I mean, his next start is against the Tigers, who are the only offense in baseball that's hit better than us. That's a scary lineup. That's a scary lineup. And talk about a team that will hit sliders very far. There's 1 through 9. That's going to be a tough game for him if he pitches like he has. That said, I think that it's sort of a risk-reward scenario right now. Give him 4, 5, 6 starts. Those starts would be going to people that are not exactly knocking down the door to get back into the majors right now.
Yeah.
If there was somebody going 8 shutout innings multiple times in a month down in AAA, tons of strikeouts, low walks, those guys down there are very talented. Jurgens is very talented. Britton, talented. Arrieta, talented. There's a lot of talent in AAA. And, I mean, if any of them really start pitching great, we need to promote them right away. The fact of the matter is, none of them everyone's pitching okay. And I think, when he left his first start, when Gosman left his first start, we weren't out of the game. He kept us in that game. He had a rough game his second start. Let's give him some time. Let's give him some time, get him used to the speed of it. I know that something that a lot of the Orioles have talked about and Buck has talked about is how he just sits there and watches the game like a hawk every time he's not starting. Just stares at the proceedings and watches how things go and just soaks it all in. And I think that that's extremely valuable because the bottom line is we need a front of the rotation starter, and Hamill, as great as he can be, or as good as he can be, will never match up well with people like Justin Verlander or, Hugh Darvish and Hugh Darvish.
Who? Darvish.
Her?
We need Cliff Lee is what you're saying.
Jason Hamill is a really solid pitcher. Wayne Chen can be really solid, has some great moments. A lot of these pitchers, Tillman has sometimes what appears to be number one stuff. I don't trust these pitchers to pitch well enough, enough of them to pitch well enough for enough of a stretch to get us to the playoffs. And if we do, we're going to be in trouble when just like we were against the Yankees, and we would have been against Detroit in the next round, because who's going to match up with some of these big horses that these teams have? We had Joe Saunders going against Darvish last year, and I mean, it's baseball.
And
Anyone
he was
can win.
great.
Anyone can win any game, but
how much does our lineup give us a little bit of a handicap there, though?
0 against Detroit.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
I mean, this is the issue. So Gausman, it's worth having him up here and seeing what he's made of, because he does have the potential to be a number one starter. Is he going to match up with Verlander by August and September and October? Probably not. But he's got the stuff to be up there with the David Prices, with Darvish, Verlander, all these, Sabathia, the big man.
Yeah, he has the potential to have that kind of intimidation factor that those other big guys come in whenever they're on the mound. They're going to bring it. So that brings us to our lineup. We have an extremely hot lineup. Chris Davis, holy crap, Manny Machado. So I have these guys listed. Davis and Machado are in the hot category. Markakis and McLouth are in hot category, and Wieters is just one hot.
Well, don't sleep on Flaherty.
Flaherty is back.
I'm so happy Flaherty's back.
Did he play tonight?
I still don't understand. I can't grasp how Casillas not getting starts.
I can't grasp how you always say Castilla.
I know.
But Flaherty was 0 for 3 tonight.
Send him back down. In Flaherty's defense, it's not like he was tearing up AAA, and it's not like he's hitting well. But Navarro hit a very punchless 286 while he was here.
I thought he was up over 300. Interesting.
286, okay. And his OPS was 690. That's in 28 at bats, so super small sample size. Also, he played miserable second base. He was really bad, actively bad. Every single ground ball that was hit to second, I was terrified about. Every time that there was a double play grounder, I was waiting for the turn to be blotched.
He made that one nice leaping grab that was good.
You can't tell me that Casilla and Flaherty don't get that ball too. I mean, he goes down to AAA, started at shortstop, committed 2 errors first game. I mean, he can't play.
He was sticking it to the man.
Stick well.
Stick it to her.
Yeah.
One sticking in
Sally, stick well. We have such a strong lineup that it doesn't really terribly matter if we've got a little bit of a black hole at second base. Obviously, it would be great if we had, 2006 Brian Roberts locking it down, or Ryan Flaherty was just a complete monster. But I mean, that's not really going to happen. What I don't understand, we talked about it before, is why Casilla is not really. I don't know if he got caught hooking up with Buck's mom or something. I don't get it. It's really.
Buck is loyal. He's loyal to Flaherty, and he gets the nod whenever there's a chance.
I like Flaherty, and 100 at bats does not a season make. But yikes, Alexi Casilla's career stats are better than any of the stats that have been put up by any second baseman on our team so far. So even his low for season, are better than any of the second baseman stats that we've put up this season so far. Just
maybe this can be our soapbox. I don't hear
play him.
Of all the other.
It doesn't matter. This doesn't matter.
Which one of them we will be in an intense rivalry with? Probably just one-sided. But I never hear Casilla thrown out there, and I love Casilla.
I don't love Casilla. Tell him why you love Casilla.
Well, I mean, we talked about it last time. I mean, I just identify with him. He's the scrappy. He's quick. He has great defense. He's kind of a slap hitter. It's just when he gets on base, it's fun. It's just all the things that I love about baseball is what Casilla is. So it's probably a little more selfish than anything. So I probably don't really see him with the same way that I look at other players, but it's just fun, man.
I know it doesn't really matter, but it doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense to be giving these at bats away to Navarro and Flaherty. That's all. Doesn't make a lot of sense. Casilla has 60 at bats. I don't get it. I don't get it. How about Valencia? Chris nailed that one.
Yeah, he had someone who's going to job their way up into the lineup and make a contribution, and Valencia did it, man. He went yard, what, 2 nights in a row at least?
Yeah, I mean he's hitting in the basement. He's hitting 227, but he's got an 852 OPS in a whopping 22 at bats. Also, not a huge sample size, but he's played well. You got to be happy for him. Our DH could use some punch.
Yeah, I wouldn't have even guessed he was batting that low of an average. It seemed like every time he came up, he was just bombing it. But yeah, I mean that's what we needed at the time. He did us well. That was what he did most of that against Toronto, and maybe he had a stinker of a game against Washington.
Yeah,
in the early part of that series. So well done, Chris. If only you were here to hear our praise. I doubt that you'll even listen to this podcast because
selfish Michael.
He didn't mean that.
Michael. Yeah, and I mean we could just go over all of these guys. I think just really briefly we should just touch on Machado and Davis. I think one of my favorite things of this season so far is that Chris Davis hit 2 home runs, including the nail in the coffin against the Nats on Chris Davis T-shirt night. Yeah,
do you see that those T-shirts were going for like over $115 on eBay?
I love that. It's just you hear. I love whenever someone either just like strikes out 4 times or gets knocked out in the first inning or whatever it is on their bobblehead night, or just goes off. I think that's so great.
And also it's great that Zimmerman had a 3 home run night, and like no one even remembers that because of what Davis did. So it just kind of shut out Zimmerman.
I kind of hate Zimmerman, man. It's such a
see, you do have a little rivalry.
I don't know why I hate him, but I kind of hate him.
Okay, is it because he doesn't really throw the ball? He kind of just uses his arm as like a trebuchet and just kind of like wings it.
You relate to Casilla being. I relate to Ryan Zimmerman's noodle arm.
It's so perplexing the way that he chooses to throw the ball.
He kind of just looks like a jerk. Go ahead and judge that book by its cover. Also, he hates sabermetrics, which is always. I mean, it's fun to hate people that hate sabermetrics. It's always
maybe there's a Ryan Zimmerman dedicated podcast.
At those things, but yeah, maybe the Ryan Zimmerman podcast.
We could just rival them up.
Yeah, man, hate that guy. I just decided I hate him. Hate him. and then we've got Machado leading the league in doubles, on pace to break the record, the long coveted doubles. Single season doubles record.
It is amazing. He's just a doubles machine. He's a multi-hit machine.
Every now and again, I watch him play third base, and I wonder how good he can be at shortstop. Because I can't imagine him being better than he is at third. I can't imagine him.
Yeah, why move him?
I mean, because the answer is if he's as good at shortstop as he is at third, it's more valuable, and he's providing hopefully more punch than most shortstops do. That's the idea in theory. I can't imagine him playing better defense than he's playing at third base. He's playing like Adrian Beltre level defense at third base. It's astonishing. I can't believe every tough play he makes. It makes it often look routine. It's crazy.
Is it that he makes it look routine, or we're used to seeing the hot shot down to third base and thinking Reynolds is the one on the receiving end of that hit? Maybe we've gone somewhat past above average, and we're thinking that it's way awesome because we're used to Reynolds handling those.
I don't know. I've gotten to the point where every slow roller to the left side of the infield, I'm just like, all right.
It is amazing. It's really amazing. He's such a good fielder. Thank you, Manny. Thank you for locking down third base.
Thank you, Orioles. I have not been this happy and optimistic about baseball. I mean, right. Well, except for obviously the end of last year. But even this time last year, I wasn't fully enjoying it. I was like, this is kind of cute. The Orioles, look at them trying. They're doing it. Look at them go. And I just expected the wheels to fall. I mean, we all did. If you didn't you're either, an 11-year-old, because that's what 11-year-old Charlie would have done, or you're lying. To watch them do what they did last year was amazing, but appreciating it and almost expecting it and feeling that along with them. Like tonight, just to bring it around full circle, tonight's walk-off, once Markakis led off the ninth with a homer, I really thought we were going to win. And it didn't make any sense. We still have to score. Well, there's nobody out, nobody on. Like, it was as if we just got that home run from a couple innings back. I felt like we were going to win. I felt like we were going to win. How awesome.
Yeah, it would be interesting to I know a lot of these other podcasts that I listen to, they've started up in the last year or two. But like what did you have to talk about like 4 years ago? Like, how depressing were these podcasts? Like we were going over our list of things to talk about. We're like, wow, yeah, we could talk about this, and it's just like optimism.
So I'm a huge fan of Camden Chat or Camden Cast off of Camden Chat, which has now gone silent. Andrew Gibson, who was one of a two-man pod, got hired away to be in the Pittsburgh Pirates front office, actually, which goes to show the quality of the podcast compared to our podcast. Wow. Can you imagine if Chris got hired away to, or any of us? But the point is that podcast was excellent, and they had it running for many, many moons. And obviously the other thing is they run Camden Chat. So, they've suffered a lot. They have a lot to talk about. You'd like to dream about players that are going to suck. Pitchers like Hayden Penn, and you tried to make the best of it. You got excited about Corey Patterson and Felix PA, and that those were fun times too. I mean, obviously you remember those years. They were different. They were different, and it's not like I missed them in any way, shape, or form. But it is a little bit fun trying to just imagine. I mean, we answered a question from, I think, a Phillies fan earlier this year about what you do. What do you root for when your team is just awful? And there's a very, I mean, it's not fun if it goes on for 14 years, but it kind of is a little bit fun to follow players and see how they turn out. It's rewarding, or more often than not rewarding. I don't know how we started talking about this. I'm glad we did, though. I feel good about it. I feel good.
We've come back around. We've had closure here.
Yes.
So let's get to some of your fan mail. We ask every week for you guys to give us some feedback, give us some fan mail. So thank you for all those that emailed in. Hopefully we'll have time to get to Darren O'Day's email today.
I'm sad that he's not going to be the logo anymore.
Well, it'll just give us, there'll be throwback nights, there'll be throwback podcasts where we throw up the old logo. No, well, we'll see what his email. Maybe he'll pine his way back into our hearts. Maybe we'll have time for him. I hope we do. But we have an email here from none other than Ben Fisher, our great and loyal fan. And Charlie, he says, which player currently on another team do you think should have a new start or anus start with the Orioles?
Oh, I think that probably Ben Fisher should run this podcast. He's just better than us at this.
Yeah, we can't let him know that.
No.
Maybe we should start some beef with Ben Fisher.
Yeah. Well, that cross-coast rivalry is pretty intense. Mariners, O's.
I thought you meant Tennessee as a coast.
I think that's landlocked.
That too. So who needs an anus start?
Oh wait, I'm a little confused. Are this somebody that we would get from another team, or somebody on our team that we should trade? I want
to say someone that
I was stuck on the anus tart.
That previously had played for the Orioles, left the Orioles, and would now who would we like to come back and have anus start with us?
Wow. Well, I mean, this is sort of cheating, but I think the obvious answer is Jose Bautista of the Toronto Blue Jays. He broke into the majors with the Orioles, 11 at-bats, 3 hits, showed a little bit of promise.
11 at-bats? Yeah. Really? That was it?
I think so. I can double check. I looked this up earlier. I'm going off of my Jim Palmer impaired memory here. But yeah, I think 11 at-bats, 3 hits. Yeah, and he was waived midway through 2004. Now,
I had to make room for Ryan Flaherty.
9 years later, Brandon Fahey. 9 years later, wouldn't mind having him back.
That's a good
Be
one.
nice. What about you?
Well-
Who do you wish we had back? Chris Richard?
No,
Oh.
yes. Billy Ripken
Larry Bigby?
would be nice. Well, the DH spot, as you may have noticed, is lacking with our team.
Ty Wigington, good choice.
Yep, that's exactly who I was thinking of. That's a good name, though. Mark Reynolds,
Uh,
sheriff. He finally found a home over at first base. Obviously, we upgraded there with Chris Davis, but it wouldn't hurt to have Mark Reynolds in that DH role night after night, hitting those bombers.
I miss Mark Reynolds.
You
I know he's not.
don't.
I know. I know he's probably not good for us. It's like French fries every day. He's not good.
Yeah, but-
He's not good for us. But wouldn't everyone like to eat French fries every day? I like Mark Reynolds.
I don't like French fries that much, so probably not.
What's the matter with you?
Not a potato man. If you're tracking fun facts about the Orioles Spastics podcast hosts, which I'm sure you are, mark me down for not a potato fan.
Mark me down for all starches. This is why I'm the fattest of the Orioles Spastics.
Wait, you enjoy all starches? I think, yeah, I don't enjoy most starches.
A new starch.
A new anus starch. Anus starch.
Mm.
Oh, man, I really wanted to get to Darren O'Day, but we're kind of out of time for the... So, Darren, we'll get to your email next week. Thanks for emailing us. And remember, you too can send us fan mail. Orioles
You too?
Spastics. You too. We'll get to their email next time. OriolesSpastics@gmail.com. Also follow us on Twitter at OriolesSpastics. Charlie he'll pick a game to do some live tweeting, and it's been a lot of fun. He does a great job. And also, the website's gone over some awesome facelifts. OriolesSpastics.com. You don't even have to remember Podbean. How about that? Just OriolesSpastics.com. We shout out the $1.17 to go ahead and buy that domain name. Thanks for your support, Spastics Nation. We raised enough funds to buy our own domain name.
We should be very clear so that, again, we don't get sued. We don't make money. If there's any Arrested Development or Orioles administration that has accidentally stumbled upon this dark corner of the podcasting world, we are no threat. We come in peace.
Yeah, feel free to share this with your friends and family, but, be kind of selective.
Yeah, no federal agent friends. Keep that on the down and out. Speaking of down and out,
it's about that time.
it's about that time, Dean.
You got anything else for us? Any closing thoughts?
I got complimented at my work today for the brightness of my pants, which makes me feel good. They were bright green, and I was wearing a bow tie. It was navy blue to match. I feel stylish oftentimes, and I don't really care if anyone else feels that I'm stylish. But it was nice to get some positive feedback today. It's good. It's good.
I got nothing. I'm sweltering hot in our home. I'm gonna go again with the recommendation of lack of clothing is the best choice. Turn down that AC. No reason to be putting more carbon dioxide into the air, right? Just sweat your ass off in your homes, and you'll feel better about yourself. But for the Spastics that aren't here, Chris Knightsey, I guess I'll give a shout out to him. And for Charlie Hoppus, my name is Dean Eastlake, and we thank you for listening.
Big dick.
Thank you to Big Dick for busting one out for us tonight. And remember always to drink responsibly.
Something magic happened. Every